the whole thing. It's just
Gotcha.
I'm doing, the wipe one. Because that one I'm like, I became stupid addicted to. Just
Yeah, I bet you are.
just in the video, I saw this like, so I also saw the ones. I don't know if you've seen the ones, and a lot of times it'll be like when the edible ain't doing shit, so you eat 3 more, and then it goes, Mrs. Rabbit has fainted, and then they just show the person falls, and then it goes, Mrs. Rabbit has fainted again, and they show them fall again. So like I kept watching those, and again I'm just like laughing at them because they usually come up with pretty funny ones, and sometimes people are just dumb. But the one woman did it wearing leggings, and when she hit, just the perfect move.
London or.
Hi, and welcome. Coming to you straight from London for the Bills game. No, I'm just kidding.
For the Bills game. Yeah, you're allowed to say that.
I didn't know if they would come sue us.
No.
London.
I mean,
Can't
Buffalo's
say
only 2 hours from here, so.
Ooh.
The National Football League are litigious, but I don't think they would sue us for mentioning a game.
I don't think so.
I mean, bring it. What are you gonna do? Take
All right, welcome to Horror Dork.
Yeah, genre talk today, baby.
Genre talk?
Yeah,
We're
so we're
talking about rom-coms and
Sure.
Yeah, we're just gonna be kind of talking about just like the state of horror.
Yeah, talking about the state of. That's where I thought you were going.
The
'Cause
state
you
of
had like a hard
horror.
T there, and then it softened up at the end.
over here.
So I'm Anthony, in case you don't know.
I'm Mr. Sir.
Golden.
All right, we're Horror Dork. So what Anthony? What's something that you've watched recently that you wanna talk about?
Well, I watched the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. Which I
Watched
did.
it.
by
I
the way.
watched
I'll
that
talk to you about that
yesterday,
after.
too.
Scary. That was a scary movie.
Yeah, it was.
The Spot.
Yeah, he was scary.
That's get
I
scary.
did watch. We were talking about a little bit before the show. I watched Totally Killer.
Me too.
Yeah.
I liked that one. It was fun. It was. So the basic premise of the movie is: what if a slasher movie got blended with Back to the Future? And it's not a mistake that I use that because they mentioned that it's Back to the Future. The plot is similar to Back to the Future, and it's several times in the movie.
Well, we don't mention that the kind of just,
I won't
but
go
just so like it doesn't get
further
the
than
wrong
that.
idea. They compare the plot to how
Right.
stuff works in Back to the Future.
Right.
They're like, well, that's what Back to the Future got wrong. This
They
time.
needed all
Girl
those
goes
gigawatts.
back in time to try to prevent a killing spree and the death of her mother by the Sweet 16 killer.
Well, okay, let me just get a little bit
Going
more
back
of a
in
setup than
time.
that.
Sure.
Because basically the movie starts out with the daughter talking to her mom. It's Halloween night, and it gives you a little bit of exposition through dialogue, but it's not terrible. The mom talks about how three of her friends were murdered 35 years ago, and she wants her daughter to be careful and made her take all these self-defense classes, yada, 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 yada. So
Foreshadowing.
the mom ends up getting murdered by a guy in the same mask that night, and the next day the daughter's upset, clearly. But
Like a weirdo.
she ends up being
Mom died. Who cares, right?
pursued by the killer. But a little bit earlier in the day, before this event happens at nighttime, you learn there's a science fair going on, and her friend is actually building the time machine, and the friend wants to go back and to that day and see if she can prevent the murders from happening. So when the killer's chasing her, she goes into the time machine, which is a phone booth, and they give an explanation why, because it has to have a grounding that will fit into the
Right.
timeline you're going to.
And this movie, I think, comes out like chronologically. The movie comes out before, or the movie takes place before, I think, Bill and Ted, which also has a time traveling phone booth. Oh, that's a photo booth.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I forgot. Never mind.
So she goes.
Don't give me that look.
No, I thought he said phone booth too.
So she
Right.
goes photo booth.
Yeah, it's
Photo
a
booth.
photo booth.
I was like phone booth. I'm like, wow, they just went hardcore for the Bill and
Yeah.
Ted thing, didn't they?
No, they didn't.
Photo booth, like the photo hut.
Can you mind your own business,
No.
please?
This is my
Like
business.
I'm trying to
Right
give.
to the couch.
I'm like
I was
right
like,
at.
right to the
I'm right at the
couch.
cusp.
Right before we
Photo
can stop talking about the plot.
So, anyways, so when the killer chases her, he's trying to kill her because she runs into the photo booth, a place with no exit and not even a door. It's just a cloth that
she's trying to
holds it.
get the time machine going for some reason. Like she knows it doesn't. There's some missing component to it,
Yeah.
and she can't.
Is she
her
trying
friend
to get
can't
the? I think it just starts going because they're like fighting, and then he stabs the control panel, and when the control panel gets stabbed, the time machine sends her back to
Yeah,
1987.
that is what activates it. So from there, she enrolls in high school and tries to befriend her mom and her friends to try to stop the murders from happening. And the movie does cut back a little bit between 87 and the present.
So like this movie's done by Blumhouse. Its tone is very, very similar to Freaky.
Yes. I think
So
is it the same director? I think it is. I think it's the same guy. Or no,
it's not.
no,
It's not
because he has
Not even the
another.
same writers.
He has another movie. I got mixed up because he has a movie coming out that is a horror version of It's a Wonderful Life called It's a Wonderful Knife.
Which is brilliant wordplay. I love that. I'm gonna watch.
Anyways,
it
I'm sorry.
No, but I just wanted to let people know.
Yeah,
going
the
in.
tone-
So
it's-
it's a time travel slasher flick.
Yeah, it's funny. It's pretty funny. It does get a little heavy-handed with the isn't 1987 so much different than 2000?
No, they definitely
it is a
Wait, it is.
they definitely paint a false picture of 1987. It's very
like
characterized.
how ridiculously easy it was for her to enroll in high school. Is literally she just
just walked up and
I was like, when you
That's
said
where
she
it's
had to
gotta
enroll
be.
in high school, I was like, did she have to, or did she just?
no, she literally
Like, it was a
walked in.
lawless wasteland.
She literally walked in and they didn't fill out paperwork or anything. She was just given a
yeah,
schedule.
like there's a part, like just to give you how idea how wonky it gets. There's a part where she's walking out of the park and she bumps into a mom of these two little kids, and the mom's all in like the windbreaker outfit, and
Like,
she's
no
like, "I'll give you a ride to school," and she's like, I can't take a ride from a stranger. You could be a serial killer." And she's like, "I'm wearing whatever expensive windbreaker clothing
Right.
with like the neon
Very
pink
80s
and stuff."
brand. I
She's got a
don't remember
headband
what
on.
it is.
She's
but-
like, "You think I'm a serial killer?" Trust me, I'm not. And then she's like, and then she asks her what year it is, and she says 1987. She's like, "Holy shit!" And she's like, "Yeah, I know. I haven't even tried coke yet." It's like, come on.
Well, then and then it cuts to her getting dropped off at the school, and she gets out, and just a cloud of cigarette smoke is coming out of the thing where there are two kids sitting in the back.
Don't go into this looking for an accurate depiction of 1987. Don't even go.
No,
don't even
it's
go into
funny.
this trying to get an accurate depiction of modern day high school because
But it's
neither.
overall, I think it's a
It's
fun
fun.
slasher.
It's
The
very
kills
fun.
are good.
Very fun.
It's got the plot
Well,
does
you
it is
can't
a
just-
little
okay.
predictable if you've seen.
I feel
a
like you
slasher
can't
movie.
just say the kills are like, to us. We know like what you would mean like by the kills are good, but someone might think you're talking like, oh, they're super creative or something. It just they're not shy to get brutal with some of the kills.
Right? Yeah, and like
solid.
There's nothing very creative with it though.
no, they're getting stabbed with a knife. Like that's basically it. But
Sometimes it's
like
an
when
overhand. Sometimes it's kind of a slide.
and the plot does keep you on your toes a little bit. Like you unless, like if you're familiar with time travel movies and slasher movies,
So it doesn't
it-
really break
what-
any new ground on those.
not really, but it does use like every single like kind of like time travel trope you could possibly have, and he kind of utilizes them in a fun way.
Yeah.
And were you able to predict what was going to happen? I was
Well,
like
they set it up.
I was maybe only like 5 minutes ahead of the movie when it was going.
There was
on.
like a red herring. I really thought it was gonna be the mom who created the time machine was gonna be the killer
Oh, okay.
because she was gone the whole entire time all that stuff was going on.
That's true. But
I
there's also stuff that
I knew I did know the one part, which is the reveal at the very end.
there's some really funny like dialogue like things where they just kind of like it sounds like something is said offhand, and then later on in the movie it turned out to be like a good like something that's set up for something later that was I thought paid off well. I don't want to get too much into it, but they make a reference to Scream that we were talking
Right.
off mic.
Yeah, that's how I knew there was.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
okay,
no,
yeah,
yeah. But it's I like Totally Killer. It gets a recommend from me. It's on Prime right now. Just came out.
Prime
Like,
Video free streaming if you have Prime if
Now-
you pay for it.
Anthony and I have done a lot of talking. I want to shift the conversation over to our buddy Golden.
Hi.
I don't.
Golden,
Bad.
what's something you watch?
So I'm just saying I haven't watched a lot lately,
Okay.
which is unlike me. But I've been doing more in front of the camera stuff.
Oh yeah,
I
you want to
have-
talk about that because this is like sort of a general horror thing, and that
Yeah, I've got
it definitely pertains.
I have so I was an extra in one movie that a group of my friends did make called Slasher Days of Summer,
Okay,
which will I don't
I've
know
been
when it'll
seeing
be
it.
coming out.
Advertised on Facebook.
Yeah, it will. But it's a throwback '80s. Actually, funny story. It's a throwback '80s slasher horror comedy. Um, it's the guy that they got to play like the woodsman, which is the killer. Dude's like the size of a small house. So
Yeah, that guy.
Eugene,
I saw a
Bovell.
picture of him. I was like, man, that guy looks like he's built to play a slasher.
for local people, he actually just recently was in a Tops commercial for the
Okay.
Buffalo Bills, where he played like the Bills' dad, which.
Oh, that's
Funny thing
cool.
is pretty much like real Bill's fathers, where like his kids were drinking out of the wrong colored cup, so he switched them on him. He's like, you can't mess with game day. So that one, but the dude's huge and he's awesome. And it was actually funny because my costume was a sleeveless flannel shirt with overalls that was gray. Then he showed up on set and his is actually a red sleeveless flannel because he can't wear sleeves because he physically can't get those cannons and stuff.
right.
He showed up and it was a red flannel with the overalls, and I was like, I just looked at this dude who's clearly twice.
It's like
my
a palette
size.
swapped.
Yeah, it's like clearly twice my size, and I just go, oh.
It's like when you're playing Street Fighter and you both pick Blanca.
yes. And I was like, oh.
It's like I get to be the yellow and red or yellow and blue.
Yeah, you can
one.
be the blue one. I'll be the green.
Yeah, it's like I looked at him, I was just like, oh, how embarrassing when he showed up wearing the same thing, and it was like, and I look so much better in it. But he's a really cool guy, so he laughed about that. He didn't, pummel me, so I'm still alive. So yeah, I was in that. Definitely check it out when it comes out. I'm in another one that is they're not really advertising it until it comes out on streaming. But I actually got to play the main killer, the occultist killer in it, which is
Cool.
great. Also, my arms it's so funny. Like, I showed up the first day to film, and they're like, so 2 of the prominent tattoos on your arms are copyright problems because it's Sword of Omens Skeletor's thing. And where we were filming my friend's land, he's building a pond.
The two genders,
So yeah,
Thundercats and He-Man.
and he's having a pond built out there, and like the base was just wet clay. So I just walked out and grabbed like just this wet clay and just covered my arms in it.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
it worked.
Yeah.
You can't really see it throughout, and I just had to reapply every now and then. But it was a great experience, and just being able to be like the main killer is pretty much one of my dreams, and to finally be cast by someone that wasn't me was really nice. It's like you've been in so many things. It's like, yeah, because I cast all of those, so I can cast myself. So it's nice to have somebody like that's not me go, hey, we want you to be in this and get to be in it. And that one I'll definitely talk about more once it's out there and everybody can see.
Right.
Plus our actual movies, Darkness Binds and Skeleton Xylophone, we have a distribution deal.
Oh, cool.
So those will be streaming very soon. I believe, like, we haven't really advertised it yet, but Darkness Binds is available on YouTube right now.
Okay.
A monetized YouTube one, but it's free for anybody to watch. But it's going to be on Prime as well. And then Skeleton Xylophone shortly after. So you can actually look up Darkness Binds, and it feels weird because the opening is different now because the distribution company put their stuff in. So I'm like, what's this? Like, they use a different like screen, like a thumbnail and everything. So I'm just like, wow, this is. But they're out there. So Darkness Binds, give it a watch. I think 10 whole people have thumbs up it out of the 400 that watched it. So that's cool. I mean, that's a good average.
Yeah.
Batting average right there. 1 out of
10 out of 400 ain't bad,
yeah. No, it's great. It's great.
as Meatloaf would say.
He actually once did say it. It didn't work well with test audiences.
It-
so
yeah, it
he
di-
changed it to 2 out of 3.
It didn't roll off the tongue as well.
No, there's too many syllables.
Yeah.
Where the one he was like, I would do anything.
out of 100 ain't bad.
It was right at the same time he made no, I just fucking blanked on my stupid joke. Never mind.
I would do anything for
I
love.
would do anything for Skeleton Xylophone, but I won't
Oh.
do that. And then again, that didn't work out so
Yeah,
well.
and that thing is giving it a thumbs up on YouTube.
Right, yeah. So yeah, if you guys check out Skeleton Xylophone, or is it spelled like skeleton?
Skeleton, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't
Skeleton Xylophone.
Even though I think
Yeah.
at one point we
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering
worked
because
with that to do it, make it
when
skeleton.
you guys were early in the stages.
You guys
of
would
that.
probably not be allowed to do that.
Probably not.
copyrighted by Disney, and they are.
And then
Disney will come after us hard.
They went after. They didn't let a kid have Spider-Man on his tombstone. they didn't-
That's
and then
about right.
they,
I don't
the
know
issue
why-
is that they asked permission.
I don't know why they care
should've
what
just
people
did
put
it.
on their pizza. And or if you check out Darkness Binds, you like it, give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, Darkness Binds is a.
I'm not in that one, so
It's a horror
don't.
comedy,
if you're
haunted house movie. So more traditional, and it's actually a feature length one story as opposed to Skeleton Xylophone, which when it comes out, it's a anthology, and it's not
there's a
horror
scene in that
anthology,
there's a
it's
scene
horror.
in that movie that made me laugh super hard when I saw it. And I was
Is
at
that
the
Darkness
premiere.
Binds or
Yeah.
It's like it was just one.
It's the scene where it's you and Dominic on the phone. That
one-
was so funny.
That one was a lot of fun. So that one I play because I play a dual role in that. Because again, I'm doing the casting, so I can put myself in anything.
Real
Originally,
chameleon, this guy.
I am.
He's
you
like
can't even
Gary
tell it's me.
Oldman.
You can't even tell it's me in either one of those. Originally, the character of the priest was written for a friend of ours, an actor, who we were excited to finally get to work with. And then, unfortunately, health issues, and he passed away during it. So we talked to like his really close friend who's also in the movie, and we said, what's the best way to, like how to do this without him? And he said, well, why don't we, you just recast the character. We named the priest character after him. So it was Father O'Here. And then we made jokes about the fact that he's the son of the original Father O'Here, who has like 20 kids, because he was good at all the priest stuff except for the celibacy. And my friend was like, dude, he's going to love that, because he would cast himself constantly in his own movies having sex with way younger women and stuff. So like he would love that. That's like probably the best homage you could do to him for him. Plus it let me write the fact that why I looked just like the homeless guy that was also in the movie. Cause I'm like, yeah, he's got like 20 kids, different moms, but we all look exactly alike. But yeah, we had filmed, because at the time it was COVID was pretty bad, and like our star Dom and his wife is immunocompromised, so we couldn't be anywhere near them. So we literally filmed. I knew that he's a way better actor than me, so we filmed all my parts out of the phone call and then sent them to him and just said,
Gotcha.
just act on the opposite of it. So other than me like coming up with random weird stuff that I said, like vegan organically sourced holy water, and then he would play off of it. And he sent it to us, and I was like, oh my god, this is so much better.
Yeah, that part of the
ours.
movie like really stood out to me is like really funny. It comes like halfway through.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, that part, just being, and I got to say rectory. I got to say it's really hot in my rectory, which made me giggle because I'm a child.
I've heard that about you, that it is hot in your rectory.
It's a
Now
very hot rectory.
I'm looking at the list of stuff that I watched, and I don't think that you guys have watched any of this stuff. Did you guys see Talk to Me yet?
I want
No,
to
I
so
was
bad.
gonna watch it last night and then I fell asleep. Started it.
That movie rules. It's so good.
I heard
I saw that in
I keep
theater.
trying to watch it too late at night.
I feel you.
I've been badly addicted to Baldur's Gate 3, so it's been like all my free time.
Oh, gotcha.
I've been badly addicted to like Smash Brothers with my daughter.
Gotcha.
Because again, that was actually a
Yes.
suggestion from Mr. Sir.
Yeah. There's like the perfect Switch game, especially if you have kids. It's
need-
really fun. There's so many ways you can play it,
You
and
need,
it's just
it's a good
and
time
you
to
can
teach.
whip your kid and the learning, and like you can set it up so there's like more obstacles and stuff. You can have like all sorts of fucking like weapons and stuff, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
and you can either and that's a game where you don't even really got to turn dad mode off. You can just keep it on, because there's so much stuff that where they can get the upper hand quite easily. Not on me though. I'm really good at not on me. I'm really good at Smash Brothers, so I
learned
could
quickly.
Here we go.
There's no family in Smash.
Here we go.
No family in Smash.
Yeah, like that's me when I'm playing like fighting games with my kids. Like I'll have dad mode on for a little bit, and then once I'm done,
They'll never learn.
I don't want to. Well, when I don't want to play anymore, dad mode activated, and it just just wipe the floor with them. Like I'm pretty good at like the 2D style like Capcom fighting games.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, she gets
they get
destroyed.
yep. I make it fun. That's how I get. Well, you gonna quit?
We've been doing co-op mode though lately, so then she's happy because we can't hurt each other.
Ah,
You know, sometimes I'm like, could you maybe get into this fight because I'm getting whooped here, and you're just off there doing her fucking moves.
I do want to recommend a horror movie though, called Horror in the High Desert. It's on Tubi, but it's also on Prime if you want to watch it without ads.
Oh, I watched the wrong movie. I thought you said Horror in the High Desert. I was like, this isn't scary at all.
No, and there's boobs in it, but not much of anything else. But it's
30 seconds later, Golden shut the movie off.
30 seconds. What? I have to take off my clothes?
You ain't getting it out of your clothes in 30 seconds. Not
No,
at your
that's what I'm
age.
saying.
Who are you kidding?
If it only took
Who
30
are
seconds,
you
I must have
kidding?
been ready to go. 'cause-
It's so it's done in the style of a true crime documentary. And like if you watch like some low budget true crime docs, you kind of know the look and feel of them, and this replicates it very accurately. The people that are acting in it are really good. Like honestly, if you went into it like just trying to look for like a true crime doc and you started watching it, you wouldn't have been let on that it's fake until probably the end, unless you were like looking for things. Like the only like in the movie, other than like if you like Googled the guy while you're watching it or Googled the movie.
That's the kind of thing though I do.
Yes, I
Like,
know.
all the
Like,
time,
and
like-
that's like that would be like that's why I'm going ahead and saying like don't go into this thinking it's real because it's not. And there's like so the basic premise of the movie is a guy goes on a hiking trip, doesn't tell anybody where he's going, and he goes missing. And throughout the movie, you're finding out little more and more things about the circumstances behind his disappearance. He had like a sort of a secret life where he had a YouTube channel with like 50K followers that his family and friends didn't know about. Other things, but like you get so invested in the guy's story, and it's so well done and it's gripping that when it does shift over to the found footage horror part at the last like 10 minutes, dude, I was like gripped. There were parts where I was like I was like holding my breath when
That's a verb.
when I was gripped.
Yeah, I like that.
I was just like
I was also
Not-
gripped
not
when I
even
watched
being funny,
Horror
that's
in
no,
like a
I know.
great way to
I was
describe, like-
like this movie made an impression on me, and I think it's like sort of it's kind of goes under the radar because it was done during COVID. It came out in 2021, so like there's no two actors are on screen at the same time, but you don't think about it because it's done with like a true crime doc, so there are a lot of it's talking heads and stuff and drone footage and stuff intercut with the guys.
Oh, it's
Vlog.
modern.
Yes.
I thought maybe this happened like 10 years ago or something.
No. This movie came out, and I guess
No, I mean I knew it came out recently,
Oh,
but I thought like the setting of the movie
the
was like, they
setting
found
of
stuff,
the
but-
movie is 2017.
Gotcha.
And the movie it is based on a real guy that I don't remember the guy's name, but a real guy that ran like he had a survivalist YouTube channel, and he made a video one day about how he
Logan
found a
Paul.
weird cave. Yeah. Unfortunately, he came back
I'm just joking.
Came
It's
back
definitely
wrong.
Logan Paul.
came back different.
Came back different.
The ground is sound.
Oh, you said
to think of a
the guy
YouTuber
said
now.
it was like
Yeah,
this
it's better.
M-shaped. Oh, that just came out. I haven't seen that yet.
What's that?
Either Bloodlines.
Pet Cemetery Bloodlines. It's a Paramount Plus
Mhm.
movie. Is
It's a
it
movie. I thought it was going to be a show, but I think it's actually a movie.
Yeah, it's like a prequel.
The
I seen that.
I
didn't
saw
watch it.
mixed
I did
reviews on
not
it.
like that remake. Did
No.
you guys?
though
I didn't mind
The
it.
problem I had with the remake was obviously if you're remaking
Sometimes,
Pet
dude, it
Cemetery,
is
there's
better.
a couple things that you have to change up so that to try to keep people on their
Right.
toes. But I felt like they changed up the wrong things.
Like they
Like,
didn't have the
having the
Wendigo
older
in it,
sister-
and like how can you like have some like an element like a Wendigo in a story?
Well, I think there's a lot of
not put it in the movie.
well, because I think there's a lot of blowback about saying that name out loud, because there's cultures that believe it's very bad to say that name out loud, so they don't want to offend people.
Okay.
So
I didn't like the
honestly, I
fact-
think that's what it
I
is.
didn't like the fact that the semi didn't
I
take
think
out the fucking kid.
I remember reading something about like when that movie was
like,
being
come on.
developed, and they talked about thinking about putting it in there, but
What was
then
the-
ultimately didn't.
What was the fuck?
Name.
What wasn't it? It was a horror movie, right? That was
Antlers.
all about the Wendigo. No, it was an
Antlers.
older one.
Oh,
No.
It was an older one where like they
um,
found out that if you actually resort to cannibalism, you
oh,
heal.
Ravenous.
Ravenous. That's it.
That movie
With
rules.
Guy
I
Pearce.
love that movie so
And,
much.
David
I
Arquette.
remember watching, going, "Oh
Oh,
shit!"
yeah,
Like,
but he's not in it long, right?
That was also though back.
Yeah,
when
no, he dies like
I went
he's
into those
eaten
movies.
pretty early.
I always forget he's in.
I went into those movies like back then. I would go into movies like cold all the time. Like
That's
'cause
what I did with.
you had less time that you.
I
could
try to do that
Totally
now.
Killer. I
It's
didn't.
so
I had
much
no
harder
idea
now.
what the premise was for it at all.
It-
I like
So much
only
harder.
I only sort of
is.
remembered like I was like
It's getting easier because there's so much stuff. Like we're getting flooded with too much
True.
stuff. You know.
right like for
Like
example
Cobweb.
I haven't seen Cobweb yet.
I went into
so-
that off your recommend. Well, not you hadn't seen it, but you mentioned that there was.
yeah.
They,
That it was
and
My friend Paul said he loved it.
really,
Yeah, he was funny because it stemmed a whole discussion about Busey kids. Because he's like, yeah, it's got Homelander in it, and it has Gary Busey's son. And I go, I love Jake Busey. He's like, no, the other
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
And I'm like, wait, more
not
than one
Jake.
woman let Gary Busey like impregnate them? That's insane.
I don't know if that's the case, but
Well,
It's a
all right.
it's a second
it's
mother.
easy to think of Gary Busey how he is now, but there was a time before he had a head injury.
It must have been way before because
And he was
I've
like
heard
a
interviews with
handsome
him.
and like
Oh, he's-
sort of normal guy.
I don't think he's ugly. I think he's insane. Like he's
Well, yeah, he
he's
has
not, like,
brain damage.
criminally
Like
insane.
literally,
He's
he has
just-
brain damage. Like the guy is just
like
nuts.
one of my favorite interviews with him was he was on a talk show, on a radio talk show, and he just out of nowhere he goes, if you ever find yourself thirsty, go to a petting zoo and rub salt on your ass and let the goats just go and lick it up.
Well, one
That'll
time he
cure your
was-
thirst, and it's like, what the fuck? It's like that's his answer to being thirsty, and it came out of nowhere. Anthony's upset because our laptop's almost out of battery.
Yeah. Keep talking.
He's
All
low.
right.
But,
Well, one time he
like, I
was
get-
on Stern.
but do you know
and
how young his? Do you know how young that kid?
I
is?
have
Like,
no idea.
'cause when was his brain injury around?
It was late '80s, I think.
Okay, this kid was born after the brain.
Oh,
injury.
so
he's
okay.
he's a younger child.
Well, he also didn't become totally insane until like the 2000s. I think is like My Life with Busey. I think is like around the era when it became like he's like insane Gary Busey. You know what I mean? But like what I was saying is, one time he was on Stern, and he like was hugging Robin, and then he like tackled her to the ground. And like people were trying to get him off of her, and then he tried to tackle Howard, and Howard put him in a fucking headlock.
Really?
Yes. Robin ran out of the studio, and he's like, and then Gary Busey, you could hear him, he's yelling, "Where's my girl?
Luke-
Where's my girl?"
Luke Busey is 13.
Okay.
So it was well after the brain.
All right. Well,
But I mean, but
that
also,
was
he
Ginger
looks like a
Dead
Busey.
Man era
Like-
Gary Busey.
So-
He looks like a Busey though. The kid has the
well,
Busey mouth.
yeah, I mean, the guy's got such a strong face.
He does.
For me, Cobweb isn't a recommend for like your average, not your average, but like for other horror hounds or even more hardcore horror fans. You got to. It's like Totally Killer. Like this Totally Killer is gonna play great for people that haven't watched a shit ton of slashers and stuff like that, or people that are open to like how we are, like comedy stuff. If
Right.
you're more of like
Yeah.
super into horror. But Cobweb, there's no redeeming qualities for somebody. For me, there's no redeeming qualities for somebody that's a big horror fan, because you've seen every single
Goes to the
genre thing they're gonna throw at you. And they're not like super like, oh, we're so clever, but
That's what I really
It
liked
did-
about Talk to Me.
it didn't do
is-
anything. I don't know. It has like a weird atmosphere, like because they want you to think the parents are creepy for this reason or that, and then there's like an apparition, and they want you to think this and that. But anybody who's seen their fair share of horror movies is going to be able, within the first 5 minutes, should be able to know exactly what's going on. And if you don't, it's no slam on your intelligence. It's just you are probably thinking this movie's not going to go there in the back of your mind, because it's been done so many
So
times.
it's like it's so obvious.
But
that you
someone
think it
who
can't be the
hasn't
answer.
seen a lot of those type of movies and stuff from like the early 2000s and stuff, I really feel like this would be a great watch for them, because it is well made.
in
And
other
it's just middle of the road for me.
Gotcha.
in other fun horror news, I did bring Mr. Sir into the Facebook group that I get so many laughs from about horror addicts,
Oh my god.
and he gets
those
to
guys.
see what like horrible takes some of these guys have on
There's
stuff. That
the
it's
most
just I'm just so happy that I'm sharing
Insane
this
takes.
horribleness with him.
Well, I mean,
'Cause-
the problem is you're getting the people. A lot of times, you get people that are uneducated in their opinions, and they feel confident enough to share them.
you get a lot of gatekeepers, and you get a lot of
Just watch The Exorcist. Don't get what the hype is all about.
yeah.
That's
you-
my favorite
Like,
conversation.
what the hell is wrong with?
Like,
You get a
you like
lot-
horror movies? You seen The Exorcist? I didn't think that was scary at all.
you
Well,
get
yeah,
a-
because you watched it in 2023,
Yeah,
man.
It's a
you've
40-year-old
seen it in
movie.
The movie's been remade 500 times.
You get a lot of like what I like to call the
Over
Nickelback
a 40-year-old
experience, which is
movie.
it's just so cool to
50-year-old
hate
movie.
stuff that's what they do.
Yeah.
Like they're like like everybody hates Nickelback, and like there's these people that if it's anything, it's a
Like peop-
popular horror movie, they're like it was dumb
Why don't people like Nickelback?
because they suck.
Really? I always,
I know it's
yeah.
his entire playlist. He wakes up in the morning, he's like, look at this photograph. I don't even know if that's Nickelback.
That is a
all right,
Nickelback
sweet,
song.
nailed it.
But you did that. You didn't do the voice. You did like a high voice. That's not how he sings. Look at this photograph. Yeah.
We just increased our views just because we're
You did. You did.
Nickelback.
Like,
Yeah, man, it takes me back. I don't know.
you
what
did
the
it like
words are.
you're singing like a Guns N' Roses song.
Yeah.
Take me down. Yeah, like you'll get the
Look at
people
this photograph. Sorry.
You sound more like Axl Rose
that
did it then than Axl Rose does now.
where it looks like your old aunt. But like, yeah, it's so funny because like you get the people that are like,
I was-
Cowardly Lion.
I was trying to channel, what's his name from Rockstar? Brain fart.
brain fart. I don't know that character.
Rockstar?
the
I don't
Mark
know.
Wahlberg.
Yeah, Mark
movie?
Wahlberg. I was trying to channel Mark Wahlberg
Um,
from Rockstar.
Yeah. What? But it's so funny because like you get like the
And he was
people-
the guy from Journey, supposed to be.
Really?
Yeah, that was
That's
like.
what it was based off of?
Yeah, it was based on the guy.
I didn't think
that-
it was based off
well-
Guns N' Roses, but I didn't.
It was based on the guy that became the Journey
We just-
singer after.
We just
the guy from
slammed the
Journey.
door shut in the face of Golden's
Oh,
conversation.
I just wanted to because you
God.
said Rockstar that I had thoughts on it. but
like,
anyways,
you get like the people that are like the old school horror people that are like anything new is dumb, and I hate it all.
right.
Yeah, that's
Then you
not
get-
all old school.
Then you get the
horror people.
new school ones that are like anything that's old is dumb, and also anything with a story is dumb. By the way, have you seen this clown? And it's like they're like, it's just so gory. I love it. And it's like there's
Yeah.
and every single person
Right.
on this thinks that anyone that has a different opinion of them of any movie at
I
all.
know.
is
I
an
hate
idiot.
that, dude.
Is a fucking idiot. I mean, I get that because I get that way.
Yeah, you do. You do.
I-
act like that.
I'm like, but that's because they're universally wrong, and I'm right.
Yeah. Well, it
That's
just
why.
it tends to be people with lower IQ, and that fits your shoe. So
Absolutely.
that's a shoe that fits.
These are the kind of people that, like, when I used to work at Hollywood Video, I had a guy came
That's
up and he was
different, though, dude.
talking
You were
about a
in
movie.
You were in like the butthole of New York.
Yeah, it was. We've talked
You're
on other
also,
podcasts
like-
about burning that place to the ground.
you're also like Randall from Clerks.
Sure as fuck am.
Yeah, that was your role
That's
model.
your ass.
Remember? That was your
No.
role. You admitted that was your role model growing up.
Probably was. But the dude was like, what are you, one of those people that needs like a story in your movie? I'm like, yes, universally, I like a fucking story, even if it's a half-assed one. At least give me some story.
Now,
you a
before
dude
we
that
get-
likes a plot in your movies.
Now, before we get off this topic,
I need to see.
I,
how
however,
get slit open.
I will sort of defend the other guy's opinion. Not that you
Before you get too deep
Well,
into
yeah,
defending
yeah.
his opinion, he was mad because I said the original
hear
Punisher
his
movie was
favorite-
shit.
Maybe
Maybe
hear this guy's taste in
I
movies
said
first.
original
Right,
Punisher
right.
because the Punisher with Thomas Jane was coming out
Right.
just to date it, and he goes, "Ugh, I hate remakes." I go, well, don't think of it as a remake. Think of it as wiping
Different
out a blight
adaptation.
on the blight on the movie industry.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Ugh,
Well, let's
do you want,
shift this
story
part
in yours?"
of
I'm like, I want Dolph. As much as I love Dolph Lundgren, I don't want
I
to see
just
him
want to
as a
say my
Punisher.
point before
Yes.
we get off of it. I
we ain't getting off that point. Trust me.
Oh my
as long as I feel entertained while I'm watching it, I'm
So,
I'm more willing to forgive
like,
stuff like lack
Freaky.
of story, lack of plot.
Do you feel like Freaky kind of? Because like I feel like Freaky, and
That one has a good premise of it, and it's funny,
but
it's entertaining,
like,
but it doesn't like break the
there's-
mold. of it.
yeah, it doesn't break the mold, and it's so generic. But that's
Yeah.
what the comedy is riffing off of.
I'm like thinking of stuff like Fast X. Like I like that movie, but you couldn't. I couldn't tell
but
you
let's
what the
stick to
plot
horror.
of that movie. Right. Okay.
I'll
Mandy.
enjoy-
Mandy is a movie that like is mostly vibes.
Very aesthetic.
Yeah, it's a vibes movie. It's
So,
like,
like,
the story is like sort of
32
secondary. It's got like sort of a basic, like a very like simple
32, right? Is the name of Rob Zombie's movie?
31.
31.
You know,
He needs to make
sequel.
32.
Rob Zombie is a vibes filmmaker as
Very
well.
aesthetic. Yes.
Right.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. There,
And you gotta like his vibes. If you don't like
Lords of
his vibes,
Salem.
like me,
Like
Lords
that
of
was-
Salem
The
is one
story
of
makes
his
no
good-
sense, but the
Yeah, yeah,
visuals
yeah.
in that movie
Yeah,
are
the
There-
vibes are
carries
immaculate
it,
in that
yeah.
movie.
There
I
are
like
movies
that.
to me that like I can watch with no story and all that stuff, as long as I feel like that's what's supposed to be presented to me.
But
Right.
in
No, I
this
mean, like-
case, it wasn't the movie he was talking about.
No.
What
Like
was the movie again?
he was talking about, he was upset that they made Thomas Jane Punisher because Dolph Lundgren's Punisher movie was out.
No,
there
no.
and it
But what
such
was
a
the
cinematic-
movie that he said? Oh, what do you need?
That was it was because I complained about like the lack of story in.
Oh, a
And
Punisher.
he was like, and he acted like I was an asshole for wanting a story in a movie.
See, it's hard for me to judge.
See,
that
because that movie kind of rules if you
Yeah,
look
and
at
I
it
watched
as
it
like
a kid,
as
and
a
it was
as a
Punisher
movie
and
where
I was
a
like,
guy's got
awesome.
where Dolph Lundgren's got a gun and he's just shooting people.
Yeah.
Like it is a cool movie on that part. As a movie called The Punisher that's supposed to be about the Punisher,
But
it fails on
to
that.
love that
level.
movie so much that you're upset that they made The Punisher starring Thomas Jane. Like he was mad.
Well,
He was pissed that they would dare to make a movie after that cinematic.
Thomas Jane
masterpiece
was
out
well-
there. Like that's the difference.
Thomas Jane is well cast, but that movie isn't very good.
But it's
I don't know.
It's way
That's
better.
that
though.
is also not. That is also
Well cast is like for that movie that they made. Yes, he's well cast, but as the character of Frank Castle from the comics, you feel like he's well cast.
I mean,
Oh,
like
okay,
if-
well, this is not Marvel Deviants. Well, it's something we could talk about later. But I wanted
I'd
Golden
say
got us
Punisher
on this
Warzone
trend
was
since
better.
we're having genre talk today. You guys on this trend of talking about different types of horror fans, and I think we should like continue on that because
right.
you know,
Don't
like
be a gatekeeper.
obviously we're marginalized, something that can't be completely marginalized because people fit into multiple different squares.
Oh,
But
yes.
Right.
The ones on this group, though, for the most part, don't fit into
are
multiple
you
groups.
are you saying the
They
name of the
hardcore-
group? Because I'm bouncing. If you do,
Oh, did I say the name of the?
yeah, did you?
Oh no, it's horror addicts. I
Yeah,
think.
I'm bouncing out of that group.
And it's funny because like you do see some people that are like more well-rounded, the ones that, but then they always get into the mire because they try to argue with these fucking hardcore people. That are like
Dude,
they like the
I
people that go on and say, "Oh, this movie sucked, wasted my time." It's like, well,
Well,
why did it
here's-
suck? Oh, it just sucked.
Facebook's to blame for that,
That's
and
true.
I'll tell
Oh,
you
yeah,
why.
sure.
Because they put the incentives to get interactions. So when you put something dumb out there, like
Right.
what do people think about The Exorcist? Has anyone here seen The Exorcist before? Like, obviously, people are going to comment, like, you idiot, everyone's seen it, blah, blah, blah. But they're getting interaction. So,
Right. but like it's just so
like
like some of
clickbait.
the people, and I try to be more well-rounded. Like I like newer horror movies. Like I loved Barbarian.
Oh, I love that
Loved
movie.
it so much.
Really
So the
good.
fact that over our
did
break,
really
I'll just
enjoy
call it our
that.
break. We were on a break.
Yeah, we were.
I did go to. So I went.
Just longer than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I went to do a renewal of vows ceremony at the Sterling Ren Fair.
Yeah.
I went with my wife, obviously.
How did that go, by the way?
went really well.
I'm so sorry. I meant to
Great time.
ask you about that.
Oh, we had a great time. But we got an Airbnb that was right on the water. First of all I talked because it was me, my wife, my brother-in-law, and sister-in-law, and they're hotel people. Like they like to go to these places, find the hotel, collect the points. I'm an Airbnb person because, well, mostly, especially because we're a group like that. If we're gonna like hang out, where are you hanging out if you're staying at the hotel? On somebody's bed, on the cuck chair? Like, come on. Like, there's no place to hang out. Where an Airbnb, you have a house, you have your own rooms, but you have the living room and all that stuff.
Sure.
So I talked to them. They loved it because I'm pretty good at finding like fun Airbnbs that aren't going to get you murdered. Speaking of Barbarian,
Better
So-
knock on wood there, buddy.
so the first night that
I mean, I hope
Famous
most
last words.
people
Like-
are good at finding
I'm
Airbnbs that
gonna
don't
be
get them
going
murdered.
to an Airbnb with this fucking guy in like 2 weeks, and now I'm like, am I
He's-
gonna get fucking killed in
he-
Canada?
He's like
Jesus.
bragging like it's the thing people can't do.
I
On a
mean,
regular basis.
maybe it isn't. So like it was so hilarious because our first night there, and now my wife kind of likes horror movies.
Yeah, the
my-
two toughest guys are gonna be me and Golden too. And Paul and Bettino, they're first to go.
Me and
Sorry, you guys, I love you, but
true.
we it's gonna.
So like my brother-in-law / best friend that I grew up with and his wife, they're not horror people at all. So we're sitting there and now we're in this Airbnb that's right on the water. It's quiet, secluded, and they're like, "Well, what should we watch?" And they had a smart TV, so all you had to do was log into your different things. So I was like, "Oh, HBO Max." They logged in. I was like, "Let's watch Barbarian." I go, "I've seen this before, but I want to share it with you guys because it's so good." So we're in an Airbnb,
And you weren't thinking about it?
what's that?
Were you thinking about it at the time?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
We're
I
gonna-
knew
okay.
exactly what the movie was about and exactly why I shouldn't play it for people that A, don't ever stay at Airbnbs, and B, don't watch horror.
We're going to an Airbnb on the beach. Let's watch Jaws.
Right. I mean, I would have. So we did. So we ended up watching. They're just like watching this movie, and I'm just going. Ooh. And I know all the parts that are about to happen, like the
Oh,
jump
yeah, that
scare. That
movie.
when I watched it on my own, I almost crapped my pants on the couch because I just wasn't ready for a jump scare.
Yeah.
Even though I should have been.
That is
Like
a
I knew
great-
all the beats
It's a
were
great
there.
jump scare
And then
where
I like that
where one of the
movie a lot.
characters gets grabbed. in
yes,
the
and I
beginning.
feel like they waited that extra beat, which is what threw me
They
off.
did because
Like,
they
'cause
didn't
I'm like,
time
oh,
it.
this is when it's gonna happen. I'm like, oh, nothing. Oh God!
Yeah.
And then I was
The
like,
guy
oh,
that
shit.
wrote and directed that is he's one of the guys from Whitest Kids You Know. He looks kind of.
Oh, what's his
He's
name?
got like the wider eyes.
All I keep thinking is Craig Zoller, and it's
No,
definitely
it's
not
Sam.
Craig Zoller.
It's Sam from. He's kind of a
The guy that
taller
directed
guy.
it?
Yeah.
I thought his name was Craig. Craig.
I don't fucking remember.
that
I want to
movie-
say it was Sam, but I can only think of like two of the Whitest Kids You Know
and like,
guys, and one of them is Trevor, and he's
Can't think of
Yeah.
that.
no matter what you want to say about the movies too, about
could
that
be
movie,
wrong.
because some people don't like it, but advertising wise,
Zach Kreger.
they were
Zach.
brilliant
Zach. Yeah,
because they
Guy.
pretty much showed nothing of the plot.
no, that was
They
I.
made it out to be
Well, there's like he got
And
a
then they
whole
cast
Disney
Bill
contract out
Skarsgård.
of that movie, right?
like they cast
Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård, so everybody's like, oh, he's a fucking killer. He's fucking Pennywise, and he
Yeah,
looks
he's
like
creepy.
he looks like a
He
kind
is.
of
Good
killer.
creepy
yeah.
look.
I didn't know he
In
was
the new-
banging Pennywise.
He's what?
Banging Pennywise.
Motherfucker. God, I hate you.
You said he's
man.
fucking
I
him.
fucking hate you. So, and you didn't have any like nothing.
No, but like
told
I
you
went.
that
I
what
went
that
into.
movie was really going to be.
I went into that movie totally cold because I didn't watch a trailer or anything. I just saw the poster and I heard the word of mouth.
So did
about it.
everybody in my Airbnb. Like, I just go, it's just a really good movie. And they're like, and it's so fun sitting on the couch having seen the movie and watching them go, oh God, what's he doing? I wouldn't.
Yeah,
trust
but
him. I
like the
wouldn't trust
beginning
that
part
guy.
of the
I wouldn't
That
movie,
movie had a
there's,
lot
like,
of buzz.
so much dread.
And it
Yeah.
popped up on HBO Max, and I had no idea about it. I just knew it was getting a lot of buzz, and I was like, I'll just put it on. And I was like, all right, this is good. Yeah. And then it got even better. Like,
Yeah, once it gets to the part with Justin Long as the podcaster guy or whatever he is.
yeah.
This is also
He's
why.
like a TV star.
Yeah, he was a
That's
TV star that
Podcaster's Tusk. That's
Yeah,
right.
Tusk.
he.
I,
love
knew,
it too,
I
like,
knew what you were
his
thinking.
character in that movie is so good too because it keeps like starts off.
I felt
and
like he
oh,
was
he's
like a
kind
bad
of
person.
you're
I didn't
kind
feel
of
like he was good.
No,
wasn't.
yeah,
Like,
he's a
they
bad
would-
guy.
They
'Cause
would
he
do
like
stuff that would make you kind of be like, well, maybe he's not so bad, and then he would be like, oh, watch me just read straight from the Rapist Handbook. He's like, I mean, yeah, I was, very good at talking or into having sex.
That
You know,
that
it's
was
oh
like a
my
very
God,
interesting
stop.
thing about that movie is how good Justin Long was, like in front of people, like not setting off red flags, and then that's a little bit of a spoiler, but
He had multiple.
the
character
other
arcs.
character, there's another character in there who sets off a lot of red flags, but they're not actual red flags, but they can definitely be
I
taken
mean,
as red
He
flags.
had red flags, as in.
I mean, who
stupid
knows?
moves?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
he. Let's be honest. Everybody in that movie did what happens in horror movies, which is let me do the one thing that's the dumbest thing possible.
I disagree.
You think that
However,
going into that basement when she said don't
No,
go down there, there's
no,
someone down there.
There's definitely parts they do that are dumb, but I don't feel like everything they did was the
not
dumbest
everything,
thing.
but they do.
you don't explore
they do
those
multiple.
Airbnbs.
I do during the day.
Yeah, I know. That's a good call.
But-
Golden of all people
I
complaining
do.
about this.
I was gonna
First of
say
all, I
that
will
is
always
that
show up
was
to
the
an
most
Airbnb.
realistic part of that movie. To
I will
me,
always
is
show up
they're
to an
gonna-
Airbnb.
He's
in
gonna
the
find
daylight
a
so I
room
can see what the
with
neighborhood looks like.
bloodstains and a camera, and then another door that goes down into a fucking tunnel, and he's going.
Oh, I am, but I'm
Yeah.
also not
Not
going
me.
alone.
Me and Mr. Sir are walking
No,
upstairs out of the fucking
Absolutely
Airbnb.
not. I'm not doing that.
You
shit.
will stand at the top of those stairs and wait for me. Damn it. But if you don't hear from
No,
me,
because I
that's
know-
on me.
I know.
That's on me.
I'm saying, Golden, when you're done, call me. I'll pick you up because I know if I stand at the top of those stairs, someone's gonna get you, and I'm gonna be like, feel too bad to walk away, and I'm gonna have to go
You
double
won't feel
check.
too bad to walk away. You'll hear me screaming, and you'll be like,
Well,
I'm out.
Golden,
and you're
Golden's
like,
dead,
a day
guys.
Later, I'm like, why'd you guys leave me? I stubbed my toe, and you guys just fucking fled. You took both cars. Why? That's exactly what it. You feel too bad. You'd be like, ah. You'd be like, you'd feel bad because you'd be like, Mr. Sir, we got to find a third for the couch now. I was just busting in the middle of the show. You guys left me. Who's this imposter?
It's Bettino.
I know you won't do that because of how much you didn't like when he was on your podcast
my
before,
gosh,
just always bumping the table.
Dude. So, getting back to Facebook a little bit here, unless you got
Yeah.
more to say about Barbarian, quick.
I know. I feel like we've
Mm-mm.
gone. I feel like that
Great
was
movie. If you haven't
Yeah, I
watched
love
it
it.
for whatever reason,
Yeah, it's on-
that'd be great for Halloween. You know, I
Yeah.
feel like if you get people
It's
that
on-
aren't super
We
into
go to
horror
an
movies,
Airbnb
I think
and
it's on
stuff like
Hulu
that.
now. I think it's left. It's either on HBO Max and Hulu, but it's on. I know. I'm pretty sure I saw it advertised.
Just check,
on
just
there.
watch.
Yeah.
Just watch. It'll let
But
you know.
anyways,
Facebook groups. One thing that drives me crazy about these horror fan Facebook groups is the personality driven ones.
It's
mm,
on
Have
Hulu
you
and
guys
Max.
ever joined like one of these horror groups, talk about horror movies, and then you see it's just dominated by the person who created the group, and the people that are
I've
on
been one of
there,
those.
the people that are on there act like this whatever this person says is gold, and most of the time
I don't want to
it's
say the name of it
awful,
because
yeah,
I
know what
the
you're
guy's kind of cool.
Yeah,
but
that's a little different
he's
because
so opinionated on stuff. He's one of the guys that doesn't like anything that's made after the 80s.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
is kind of a thing where,
but he's a nice guy though.
yeah, and there is like another person that's in that group that he's really good friends with that gives him shit for that.
Here's a red flag for groups like that. One, if it's a guy or a girl, they're posting pictures of actresses or actors that they think are hot and then tagging the actor in it like the actor's gonna
That
see
is
it.
so
and
bad.
think- yeah.
Don't do that. If you do that, don't do that. That is bad form.
Here's the second
Makes
red
us
flag.
all look like
They
creeps.
ask what the followers in the group's opinions are, and the second they disagree with them, they either get, if you comment, you get banned, or they'll just completely discredit you. It's like the ultimate form of gatekeeping.
Yeah, like, well, I've been watching
You
horror
build the
movies
gate.
since
You
blah,
build
blah,
the
blah.
gate and
I
then you
watch.
keep people out.
Yeah.
I
Well,
watched.
it's my group, so I can say what it's like. That's fine. It is, but I'm not sticking
Right.
around for your dumb ass shit.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, there's so many good qualities for the '80s movies. The older movie.
Don't
Like,
get me wrong. That's
I-
like my favorite era of like
like,
horror movies.
Yeah, mine too. Like, and I don't
Really?
I don't really prefer
yeah.
the older horror movies. Like, I mean, I enjoy The Exorcist, but if I had to choose between like that or something from the
Bless
'80s
you.
Thank you.
or something modern, I wouldn't choose that. I mean, they're good for what they were when they came out. I think. I'm not somebody that's gonna go. I don't see what anybody saw in the original Halloween. I get why they're good. I can see that and not say, well, they suck. I can also say they're not what I'm going to choose. But then I see other people that are like 100% like if it was made in like the 60s, 70s, then it's the best thing ever, and anything else is just a cheap.
Well, 70s,
knockoff,
yeah.
you
There's
know?
there's a lot of gatekeepers out there.
Like, I love Vincent Price, but his movies aren't going to scare me.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much for the 60s.
You have a frilly collar.
A couple boomers here and there, but like most of the time it's like 70s. You get these gatekeepers that are like, oh, anything after Halloween sucks.
Yeah, because I think like the
November
this
1st is
80s
the
stuff
worst.
is just gorefest trash.
Yeah.
They don't.
I mean, and they're right in some regards to that. Like, there is a lot of 80s stuff that is just gore fresh trash.
I
you know?
mean, yeah, but
But-
there's craft behind like something like Return of the Living
oh
Dead.
yeah, for sure.
Like,
Like, how can
there's-
you?
or The
Yeah.
Thing or something like that, or
Wait, you like The Thing?
I've seen it a couple times.
Are you gonna go to the?
Where were you in 1982?
In my dad's ball sack.
Are you gonna go to the?
So we're
Are you gonna go to the Keith David panel when we go?
if I go to any, that would be the one that I go to.
That should be good.
yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Every time you try to ask him any questions about Thing, I'm just gonna break in with They Live questions instead.
When
Definitely
you
going
said
Why don't you
not
make it
this
They Live
year,
too?
what the hell did you mean by that?
What was your favorite extended fist fight scene in any movie? Like, I feel like you're leading me to a certain thing. I am not. What was it? Like any extended multiple minute went on for too long fist fight with a wrestler that wore a kilt. Any of them.
It would be Fast 7 with Vin Diesel and The Rock.
Let's see if I can
They're
get a.
fighting each other.
See how close I can get to a restraining order at this convention. Like
Another
last
type
one.
of fan that I've seen coming a lot lately on Facebook, at least, and not coming is in the sexual way, is these people that love like The Conjuring, Insidious,
Mm.
and they hate everything else, but act like they're ultimate horror fans. But they've
Oh.
never watched any of the stuff they're trashing.
Here's one. Yes, and it kind of piggybacks on what yours is. Are people that just absolutely despise elevated horror, and they hate like all the like anything A24, like
Yeah.
Hereditary, or the Ari Aster stuff.
And they kind of
Talking-
there's a group of
and
those
unfortunately, talk to
Conjuring
me.
fans that go into that.
Yeah. Talk to Me gets lumped in with that as well. They're just like, well, A24, it sucks, it's boring, and like, man, it's spoken like somebody that was like went in like wanting to just.
They're the ones
dislike
that are like,
something, you know.
"Ugh, Peel should have stuck to comedy.
Well,
Yes,
yeah,
people
what
that
the
also
hell?
like. Yes, I've seen a lot of that
Don't get me
is
wrong, I
in
like
that
Peele's
horror
comedy.
addicts group
Yeah.
that we're talking about.
Yeah.
People that just absolutely despise those Jordan Peele movies, and I don't get like
Because
don't
we
understand.
love them. That's
Yeah,
why we
yeah,
don't get
yeah.
it.
I mean,
My
it's-
only issue with A24 stuff, and it's not I love the movie.
You love Sushi Girl.
I love A24 movies, but my problem is like when people out there as a micro budget and actual independent filmmaker, when they're like, "Oh, I love independent films, A24," and it's like, that's
Well,
that's
okay,
not. I mean,
but
technically
Golden-
it's independent, but like,
because it
When
goes
you have-
based off a budget.
yes, but,
So anything under, I don't know. I think maybe it's $5 million now. It was $2 million and under is independent.
but like to me, I'm just
Even
saying,
more
like,
than that for
they're
independent.
the same ones. Though they're like, I love independent
budget
movies. You're
is
like,
$2 million
oh,
under.
did you watch this? Yeah, it was. They had no money for it. It's like I like real independent movies, like this one that had a $2 million budget. It's like
like
$2 million
Creed.
budget. I could make my entire fucking career.
that's still
Independent,
considered
independent
small
movies
budget.
like Green Knight.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say was one thing what A24 does sometimes to their detriment
I love that case.
is they advertise movies as horror that
gotta
aren't
comment.
horror. So like my brother went and saw Lamb based on the trailer. And he's
Mhm.
like, and he likes A24 stuff just like in general. He's more like a film head guy than and he likes horror as well. But like he's like, yeah, don't go to see that in theaters. Also, just know it isn't a horror movie at all. The trailers are completely misleading on that. Like after Hereditary hit, they really like leaned super hard into like being like the
You
weird
think that was
indie
after?
elevated horror.
I feel like that was before. They were doing a lot of weird stuff.
They did weird stuff before that, but like they lean after Hereditary was like their big like
Because I feel like it opened up more investors for them.
right. Well, Drive was like I think their like big like breakout movie,
Good movie.
but
Hey, we have a comment here.
oh sure.
Old host for the old Horror Dork fans out there, if they still listen. This comes from our friend Andy. To be fair, I don't get Talk to Me. It didn't feel like a horror movie as much as a suspenseful thriller type deal. The only scares they had were jump scares, and everything else was predictable, in my opinion. That's a great comment.
Yeah.
And that's actually a good segue for us to get into like where our Civil War will start. How we define what's horror.
Okay. To address Andrew's comment real quick, as the person that's seen the movie of the group, it's I thought it was scary because they make it they take it so how you get the premise of the movie is you have this hand, you grab it, and for like 120 seconds or something, you you will become possessed by a spirit in the
Show
room or
us
something.
on the doll where you had to touch the hand, where the hand had to touch you.
So and it becomes a metaphor for drug addiction. Like you become like you want to keep doing this. It's exhilarating and everything, and you just a part of the horror of it is the dread knowing that this person is just becoming more and more unhinged and becoming more dangerous with this thing, and it goes horribly wrong one night when well, I don't want to get too much into it because this happens like halfway through the movie. So but it does I thought it was scary. I saw it in the theaters, so that might have also like added into it. Like seeing something like that on the big screen, like,
Especially 'cause
and
you have
I
reactions
thought
around you and that.
right, and I thought it would, and it has like it's like a it's in an A24 movie in that it's a feel bad movie. Like it's got a downer ending. I just want to get that out of the way.
So he said he really liked the lore. To be fair,
the lore. Yeah, that stuff is really cool, and it does like make it easily like able to sequelize because the hand is not just the hand that they have. There's other ones out there as well. It's like a TikTok like viral thing that kids are doing.
like
and-
Incantation.
yeah, sort of.
Like how remember how that movie sparked all
There
that?
was one Momo
Right,
or
Those TikToks.
whatever. There was like Momo. Isn't that one
Yeah.
of those things that was like? I remember seeing like all the posts from
Momo,
like
yeah.
parents that were
That's so
completely out of
old.
touch going, "Ugh, don't let your kids do TikTok; they'll kill themselves."
Yeah, and that just ended up being like viral marketing, I think, for some
Brilliant.
like lame horror movie. Like
Yeah.
The Gallows had a really lame like Vine
Yeah.
thing. Well, so
We've seen
what
a history of
defines
that,
horror?
like hashtag hates.
We're bringing up this old fight that Anthony loves to have with me.
Yeah.
So what?
Well, that one's fantasy sci-fi.
Like-
that's the bad one we get into.
I thought it was the comedy horror or horror comedy, and
I don't think necessarily like something has to be scary to be horror.
Well, do you think we can agree that the horror genre itself is difficult to define?
yes,
Yeah.
Because the one thing about the horror genre is horror's like a state of emotion or whatever, state of mind. So like it's the only genre that's named after that.
well, yeah, you got a lot of like, you got like a lot of different like because the whole point of it is it's more subjective to me than comedy even is. Like comedy is very subjective, but horror even more so. Like, and there's a lot of people that, and I see it in that horror addicts group. There's a lot of people that pretty much go, if it doesn't scare me, it's not horror. And it's like,
Right.
well, you've been so desensitized by watching this stuff.
It's
I can watch a movie that never scares me.
I
and
watched
still love
Psycho.
it as a
Okay,
horror
so
movie.
for example, I watched Psycho Gorman. Now, there's no world where somebody watches that movie and is scared by it. But you watch it and you can definitely say that this is horror. There's horror, like it's like a warlord from outer space. That
Why
makes-
can you say it's
explodes
horror?
people.
and I'm not arguing with you. I just feel like it needs to be defined since we're having this conversation.
So the guy, it has monsters in it.
Okay.
It has insane gore effects.
Okay.
Um,
So what you're saying, if I get this right,
sure.
is for you to classify a movie as horror. I'm not going to pick it apart. I'm just trying to
I
just
gotcha.
put this out
I'm
there.
rolling with it.
Slice it up on a breadboard, you feel that there are certain tropes or like archetypes that the horror genre has, and if it has enough of them, it doesn't have to be
Right.
all of them, but if it has enough of them, you will constitute it as a horror movie.
Right.
Like at least
so
At least
you-
two.
do you
Because, like,
do you
then we
want
can
me
get
to-
into the
do you want
Twilight
me to-
argument.
Yep, I was about to say like
Yeah, I feel
Twilight.
like it needs at least
Hold on.
two elements. And
Andy made another comment here. Megan didn't scare me, but I would consider that horror, and I love that movie.
Yeah, Megan was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's a great movie. I'd love to hear why you consider that horror, Andrew. Okay, so keep going.
Yeah, she's killing
Your fucking
people.
doll, yeah.
No, I'm just
Like,
saying.
right there you go.
He
Right,
made
right,
the
right.
comment.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I get what you're trying
So
to
that's
get.
his opinion.
I
on
feel
it.
like though you need at least two, just because of the fact, like you're saying, there's
So,
sometimes something
two.
can dip in.
So do you feel like there's
at least-
minor archetypes or tropes and major tropes, and it needs two of the major tropes?
I mean, I don't think it needs two of them. Like you could have like 20 of like the minor tropes, and I just feel like it needs to be more like you can't just be
Well,
like
where's
you're
the
dipping
line
your
drawn?
toe in.
Because
The
you
horror,
clearly
and it's
don't
clearly
consider
something-
Twilight horror,
I
right?
know. No, because that's
Oh,
not.
they got werewolves in it.
It's got
and
where
they
it's like
got
got
monsters.
there's
vampires.
skinwalkers, and but it doesn't because that's set up way more as just a tween
So
like
I think
love story.
But
Like,
my whole point, I'm being a little facetious, but the whole point to bring that up is like it needs to try to elicit that emotion. I
Yeah.
think I misused that word. It needs to try to create that emotion of horror.
but also I think like
I mean, being a vampire
I feel like
is a
Twilight's
central
exclusive.
is a central aspect of the plot, and they do like feed
But
on.
do they
people
go
and stuff.
into the horror aspect of it?
Yeah, because there's
They
like
dip into it.
there's
How
the
much do they?
because there's the other clan of vampires that feed on people. And
Could it be like considered a gothic romance?
I mean, yeah.
Because gothic goes hand in hand with horror.
what's the difference between like a gothic story and a horror story?
Well, gothic is just an art style in a sense.
Okay.
So like gothic architecture, and it carried over into like literature that used gothic images and certain things like vampires became associated with gothic.
okay.
So it created like its own genre in a
Like
sense.
even to bring up like
Not really in movies as much as like
even to bring up like an old fight that we had on an old
Okay.
podcast.
all right.
Also, like Practical Magic is not a horror movie to me. It was
no,
but
that-
it's witches and it's spells.
Only
that
at
is
one
more
part.
fantasy.
Yeah,
because
well, to me it was more
magic is.
But
I'm
I
more-
think it goes back to the emotion. At the center of its core, is it at least trying to make you scared?
But
like Ghost.
But the
There's
problem
scary
is-
parts in Ghost.
there are to me family horror
Right,
movies.
but at no point
Man, I don't know if I would even. I don't know.
At
Even
no
I
point-
would to go as far as to say like
What?
that's a horror movie.
What movie?
Ghost.
Oh,
it does
at
have
no
like a
point-
couple scary elements. But
it does
I don't
have some
think they
scary elements,
wanted it to be
but at no
horror.
point is that its overall arching goal.
No.
So I feel like if a movie definitely has that, and I
That's
feel like there's
fair.
exceptions,
That- okay.
there's
But like, there's even movies that I go into. That is a novel. There's movies that I would consider like more family horror movies that I don't think they're trying to really scare anybody, but I still would consider them horror. Like Monster Squad. I will consider that a family horror
Ghostbusters.
movie, Ghostbusters.
But the whole thing,
And at no time do I think Ghostbusters was trying to be like, let's scare the shit out of these guys.
but you would
There are
classify
scary parts
Ghostbusters
though.
as a horror movie.
There are absolutely.
I'm
scary
not. Yeah, and
would
like
you classify
Gremlins is definitely a horror.
Ghostbusters as a horror movie.
horror comedy all
Really?
day long, family friendly.
Yeah. Horror comedy.
See, like I feel like the
It's-
difference between Monster Squad.
I'm more
And-
forgiving on the ones that I consider more family friendly, though. Too, like they're not because it.
Well, that one is
gives
more
you-
focused on the funny, like
Yeah.
the comedy part
Right.
than the horror part.
And it
But the
lets you
horror
get
part
someone
is there. Like it is like the central plot of Ghostbusters is three guys starting a business. But the business is trapping ghosts. Like so it is like a central part of the story, but they're more focused on the funny.
Yeah, so he agrees with us here. Andrew does. He says, we got a new comment here. Andy says, I think that he's talking about Megan here. I think that it speaks to a pending sense of dread, which is what we were talking about as
Right.
far as creating that emotion. Insofar as this can be our future, you can see the interconnectivity of technology even now as we move forward. Things are just going to get more and more advanced. So yes, she is going around killing people quite brutally. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Megan.
I watched the unrated one. It's on Peacock.
But she is also able to rewrite her code and literally become a I'll skip a little bit of this. He said it's much like the remake of Chucky, which I also liked with Mark Hamill. I did too. That is
know-
something that seems within the realm of possibility more so than the original Chucky. That's a great comment. Thank you for that.
So
Oh,
while I
he
do
also
like,
wrote,
I do.
is there any way that Golden and Mr. Sir can take their shirts off? I mean, we have a fan asking for it. Don't read the comments in there. Just trust me.
I mean, the best part is that 100% sounds like something
Yeah,
because
that's
when he was a guest on our
he wrote fan
prior
fiction.
podcast, yeah, he
Yeah.
wrote the fan fiction, and he also, I think, he asked me to do the whole thing without a shirt on.
Oh, that's
And I
right.
did, and
And
it
you
was the
clipped
same
the
day that
name
you
tag
gave
to
me
your
the name
chest there.
tag, so I had it clipped to my naked chest. which-
So
and
so
then
to
they stole
speak-
that for Babysitter too, Babysitter too. They stole that idea.
They did, yeah.
For me,
Oh,
the guy's body wasn't as good as
I
mine,
didn't
but
see
it
that movie.
was actually pretty.
Did you see either of them?
Mm-mm.
Well,
Really? I like the Babysitter a lot.
Because
Yeah.
It's fun.
it is.
Oh, okay.
It's
What-
very
is
fun.
that on
Babysitter too.
Netflix?
They've got
Yeah.
the character that never wears a shirt.
Okay.
But then at one point he's at his job, which is like a shitty teenager retail job, so he has a name tag, but it's just on his bare chest.
So, so to
That's what I
speak,
thought.
so to speak on Andrew's comment about the Chucky remake, Child's Play remake, I liked it too. It had fun stuff in it. However, man, there's just something about like Brad Dourif as Chucky that just makes it
Right. I mean,
you know
It was
it,
definitely
it's a
different.
different, and they like because of rights or whatever they couldn't do in the original like version of Child's Play was called Blood Buddies, and it was going to be more or less like sort of what the plot of the remake is, where Chucky was going to be sort of Andy's id and was going to kill for him
right.
as like
Well,
like, and there but
I don't want to get into
and-
specifics. We're actually going to explore the Chucky series on our YouTube channel, so we'll
Right.
dig into.
And I've been watching this show. Second season I kind of fell off for me.
I mean, the Child's Play movie series.
right.
Universe.
Can't say universe, universe and all.
I
that
like.
goes
I
in.
mean, I like both because I
Yeah,
like the
like-
idea
like-
of it being the technology going wrong.
right,
right,
especially
like-
like what
like tech-
Andrew was saying.
right,
Like,
like-
it could very well be possible.
Like for example,
Black Mirror.
like when I was talking about Psycho Gorman, like yeah, they're from space, so that could be science fiction, but they look like horror creatures. They're like not like
The Guar
aliens.
concert.
Yes, honestly,
I mean, it
that
sounds
is
like a Guar movie.
honest. Watch it. It's
We're
on
getting
Shudder. I
into
really
our
like it.
science fiction thing. I said
It's-
it's more of a
and-
setting than actual.
Psycho
Wow.
Gorman is also made by the same guys that did Manborg and the Void. So
I think you
it
can
like
have
expect
sci-fi
like
horror.
that kind of level of like special effects.
Right.
But the Void, not Manborg. But
Yeah.
Manborg.
But what the hell was I saying? Oh, but like yes, well, so like technology like being an aspect of it doesn't necessarily mean that it's like science fiction or whatever. Like the original Terminator movie is definitely a horror movie. It's a slasher movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger is a slasher.
I saw the
Like he's
Yeah,
Jason
that's a-
Voorhees basically.
that's a
actually
fair
saw an ad
argument.
for the next Terminator. I don't know if it was real or not. I didn't like
No, it
do
isn't.
it. It's not. Damn it.
No.
I won't lie, I'm very upset because
Well, remember, he's old and he's using
Now,
Facebook.
I didn't look into it. So I'm like, yeah, this could be true. This could be not. Whatever.
No, it isn't.
Like
Right.
and it's so funny because like there's so many. I feel like there's so many of the wrestlers that try to switch over to acting, and not. I think way more have been unsuccessful at it than successful. Roddy Piper, my favorite, obviously, even though probably 90% of the population would disagree with that.
I don't think so. I think he's like well received.
And, well, I think it's
Yeah.
because the people that like those movies are going to like that acting.
Yeah.
But like The Rock,
He's
obviously,
as
has
always
been
Sunny.
huge,
He's
and
Yeah.
the wrestler guy. in
John
Always Sunny.
Cena, like I enjoyed him in his other things that he did. Like I enjoyed him in some of the
Batista is
acting.
the best
But
one.
when he did Peacemaker, I was just
Oh
fuck,
yeah,
I
he's
was
good
all
at
in.
Peacemaker.
Like John Cena, he's so good as
Yeah,
Peacemaker.
dude. Yeah.
So,
I
like, when
think
it was like, oh, he's
Batista's
gonna be
the
the next
best
Terminator,
like
Really?
actor though. In Cabin in the Woods, he's really good. He's really like
Yeah. Okay.
sells that
has
really
range.
well.
He has more range than like The Rock. and
Hotel
John Cena.
Artemis.
Yeah.
He's excellent in that. He's really good at playing like he's good at like he's not afraid of like looking soft.
He's
You know what I
Filipino
mean?
too.
He's so good. Yeah, I like Batista's like of those wrestler guys, he's my favorite of the actors. Like he's the best of the acting wise.
Better
He's
than
not always
Hogan?
in the best movies,
Better
but
than Hogan.
I don't no holds barred.
I mean,
What's
everybody,
that smell?
everybody knows that the best wrestler to go into horror was here you go, right there, Bill Goldberg when he played Santa.
Oh, Santa
I love that
Slay.
movie, and I'll never fucking say bad things about that movie. Guys.
Kane was in. Kane also did that too with.
See no evil.
I like those movies.
Guess
They're
what I
fun.
did?
See the
I don't know if
second
this will
one.
shock
The
you.
Soska sister.
I hated
second
those
one.
movies, and by I hated those movies, I mean the 5 minutes that I got to watch of the first one before I violently turned it off and threw it across the
'Cause of
room.
the eyeball thing.
Yeah, the guy, all his thing is he shoves his grimy hands into people's eyeballs. Like that's not okay. Like I would.
I
and the
saw
worst
that
part
one in
is it
theaters.
wasn't-
I
It
thought it
wasn't
was-
even
I
me
thought it
being
was
friends with
awesome.
assholes like you guys that recommend things like that for me. It's when I worked at Hollywood Video, and when I worked at Hollywood Video because we would get the movies in early. Everybody always rushed towards wherever the big blockbuster.
Well,
was to
sorry.
watch.
Sorry,
was
it's
the-
no Jeepers Creepers, Golden.
Stop. And then
Where'd you get those peepers? Out of your eye
like,
sockets.
so I would always watch all the movies that we only had 1 or 2 copies of because somebody had to watch them to give recommendations, and I was like, oh, this looks like a good movie. I fucking put it in, and I'm like, nope. The first fucking kill, he just shoves those grimy hands into someone's eye socket. I was like,
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Golden, but we're probably gonna do Saw X at some point, and
is that bad? Of course it is. I was like,
there's some strong eyeball stuff in that one.
That's so bad to the point where like was
The
me
traps in
thinking,
that movie are crazy.
Oh,
Like
those are good.
I thought that, and that movie like they make you like actually like get to know the people that he's putting in the traps.
I feel like that's the main point of it is to show why he's
That was one
But
thing that
they
was
lost
like.
that
They
plot point at like 4, and they
Really?
like
You-
stopped
you would
caring
go
about
that late.
I would go that late. Like
Because I mean,
still
I
there
do
in
like
3, I
2 and
think.
3, but I feel like
three
after
three-
1, like it really drops off caring about
I
the
feel like
people.
Well,
People really cared
the
about him,
the
except for
drop
one
in
dude.
quality from James Wan's Saw to
No, I get that. but-
to the sequels are
Yeah, and Lee-
is so
Lee
great,
Winnell's writing,
and they
but-
even get worse as
So
they go.
like, my whole thing is
I love those
like,
movies, but they're bad.
you get this whole backstory about the people in there, and then by the time 2 comes around, I feel like it just starts getting cliche and kind of ham-fisted. You know?
Yeah, well, the 2 started out as a separate movie that
Oh,
the
that's
guy
right.
the guy that
Yeah.
made it, and they're like, this is just Saw. Like literally, this is Saw. Like, but Saw then
all
became. He couldn't sell this script because it was just people were just like, this is so over the top and gross. And then Saw became a hit, and then Twisted Pictures bought the script and hired Lee Winnell to rewrite it to
Yeah.
make it Saw. And he barely did anything
Yeah, I
to
know.
change it to Saw.
'Cause if
Like,
you
that's-
watch the
it's-
behind the
that's
scenes
so
stuff,
crazy.
He's like he didn't have to he didn't have to change any.
No,
of
he
the
just
kill
had to
stuff.
change the
He just-
names and stuff.
and then he added some backstory with what's his face,
I also felt
Yeah,
like
with the
Krieger.
I also feel like Saw 2 had a lot
had
of
a twist
cute
and
vibes.
everything. Like that, the traps were all the same. That movie had traps in it. Like, how can
I
you
feel
do
like
that?
Saw 2 was like had very Cube vibes, which I don't know if you ever.
Yeah,
seen.
I love that
Cube.
movie. Yeah,
I love that.
There's a
movie so
remake
much.
of that movie that's on Screenbox.
It also has
It's
some
okay.
Sequels.
yeah,
There's a couple, at least one.
yeah. It
Like,
does.
They have like Cube Zero.
I like early 2000s horror a lot.
It was
like,
97.
The
Was it really
Cell.
Cube?
Yes. I just
thought
looked
that
up
was
to
2001.
Really super
Cube was
stylized.
97.
Oh shit.
Really super stylized, like horror movies like The Cell,
Yeah. Well, I guess that makes sense because wasn't Saw like 2001 or something?
Red Dragon,
2004, 2003.
I think so.
2004. is
Saw 2 was 2007. So I was trying to figure out which one came first. I assumed it was Cube.
What do you say about Red Dragon?
Oh, it was like that same era, like stylized horror movie.
Do you consider Red Dragon or Manhunter to be a horror movie? Because that really falls into thriller territory.
It's definitely.
Right.
I feel it's a more of a thriller.
Oh
But
man, Manhunter's a little more. Because
that's the thing, is,
Manhunter
like-
is scary though. Those movies are fucking
Is-
scary.
Are thrillers horror movies?
I think they are.
I guess
think
it
they're
depends,
a
like-
type of horror to me because it does. It's the same dread.
Like those movies are focusing on like a serial killer and not like a normal
Usually
serial
more
killer, a
drama
guy that
than
like
reality.
a guy that has like a crate and like two serial killers, one that is like helping the guy on the outside.
Yeah.
But I mean, because like Silence of the Lambs is universally considered a horror movie, right?
Right.
No, not universally.
Well,
You'd be surprised. Yeah,
Really? Oh, well,
gotten into a lot of discussions about. No, I wouldn't even say arguments because I don't even know if I have an opinion on it. At least a formed opinion on it.
Right.
I mean, you got cannibalism, you got serial killer. To me, serial killer to me could.
and that movie is
considered a
also
horror
scary.
monster on its own. It is. It's very intense. The dread. I remember the dread of
Dude, the part where
night vision goggles.
Clarice, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Where you like
Yeah.
you could see that he's right next to her, but you know that
Yeah.
she can't.
Where
see
He's
it.
like touching her hair and
Was
stuff.
she a great big fat person?
Whatever.
Buffalo Bill is so creepy. But
you think,
yeah.
Fuck, man. Like, that's-
Yeah,
wait, does he say that right? He does.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
I'd fuck.
And Jay and Silent Bob do it as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, and Clerks too. I'm so bored, and boredom is the first step to relapse. And then Silent Bob starts playing the Goodbye Horses song, and Jay's just like, "Oh,
Just do the tuck, the tuck and fuck.
is that my surprise?"
It is yours.
Okay, anyways, we're not. Let's keep this grounded. Here, guys.
Grounded
Um,
like a thriller.
So yeah, so it's tough because I don't feel like every thriller necessarily is trying to heighten the horror aspect. Like some of them are a lot more like where you get like your action thrillers,
High
and stuff,
crime.
you
Yeah.
know?
But then like something like Seven, which has like such a look and feel to it, like
Yeah.
you can't help but like say like that's a horror movie.
And it definitely it leans into making you feel what you're like the different like dread, the just griminess.
Right.
Like you feel like you're watching Seven and you just feel dirty at some like it
The
points.
movie
blank.
came out like the same month. I think like a week apart from Halloween 6.
Here's the thing
Like,
too.
they don't feel like they're from the same century.
the the thing about horror more so than and comedy is kind of close to this, but the thing about horror is it has this huge stigma to it. Not stigma, but it has this huge like infamy or whatever, like for people outside the genre. These movies are scary and they'll scare the shit out of you if you watch it. But the thing about horror is you have like a degree of separation as a film viewer. Okay, so without getting into like a whole bunch of like, you know, Andre Bazin and stuff and all those famous film like critics and stuff you'd learn in film school, you have this degree of separation. So you're only as scared technically as you're allowing yourself to be scared. And in our everyday life, like even outside of horror, we're so desensitized to stuff because of the internet. We have such a wide range of wide range of entertainment available to us, whether it's YouTube or just reading posts or the news, that you're probably not going to see anything that's going to shock you unless you shelter yourself from that. So going into a horror movie, and it's kind of like comedy, like you're only going to find it as funny as you're allowing yourself to laugh at it. Like,
Right.
don't get me wrong, there's definitely movies where people will be like, oh, well, they didn't get it, like, but the jokes do fall flat. That's different, where the horror falls flat. But like these good movies, like say like The Exorcist, for example, people are like, oh, this isn't scary, blah blah, because they're used to like modern techniques, and maybe the movie's more boring now with the pacing and stuff. But The Exorcist could still scare the shit out of you if you let
Especially
it.
if you're like even somewhat religious.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like that is, and like that was the thing. Like people were like more like Catholic and stuff.
But
Like,
people go into stuff so guarded now, and trying to be like the strong person, like, oh, like this shit doesn't scare
Like
me.
when I go, like, 'cause when I go into a horror movie, I want to be scared. Like I want to feel that sense. Like that's why I love horror and I like going to like haunts and things like that. Is I want that feeling. I want that heart racing. So for me, it always sucks if I'm watching this movie and I go in wanting to be scared and then something happens that takes me out of it, and then I feel like
Right.
now that just fucked up because now I can't feel scared because they
Like
took
maybe
me
a
out of
bad
it.
character motivation or something.
Yes. And I don't get me wrong, I like as a horror fan, I give a lot of leeway to dumb things because
Right.
horror movies wouldn't exist
Well,
if people didn't do dumb things.
it
Like
also-
say, let's go look at that fucking house
Yeah.
that I saw a dude with a chainsaw and skin as a face playing on.
It also
I'm
depends
gonna
on
create a serum that brings dead people back to
yeah.
life.
It
It
never goes wrong.
it also depends a little bit too. Like I feel like a lot of people go into horror movies, like how you said, if something breaks your mind, where like you have this set group of logic and something breaks that logic, but it can still make logical sense to you, but you have never processed that before. That's what I feel like people are looking for in horror movies, and it's so rare that happens because it can't happen on a universal.
Oh, yeah. Insidious 3,
With
which
the
is funny,
audience.
is like because it's a third in the movie, but whatever. Insidious 3 fucking had me on edge the entire movie
pussy.
because fuck you. Partway in, it did that where like because it was the girl was crossing the street and the music swelled and all the beats were there that something was about to happen, and then it didn't. And then they gave like 2 beats, and then a fucking car just comes in, and it took me out of like my brain going, okay, this is logically when this is going to happen. And once I got taken out of that, the slightest fucking jump scares were getting me. Like
Yeah.
I was just like, God, oh,
So what?
Jesus!
What,
Like,
what was it exactly you think that did that though?
it was going off of formula, like because of the fact that we watch so many horror movies, and there's a formula that for most horror movies, I feel like we could watch it, and like I watch movies with my wife, and sometimes when I want to scare the shit out of her, I know when something's about to jump or something's about to happen because it's all there, and you grab the leg. When these people are making these horror movies and they're still hitting them, but they're hitting them a beat off, especially if they go a beat late and not a beat early, because I'm on edge. I'm ready. I'm ready. It'd be like if you were gonna be in a like one of those, like now they do the slap thing, right? And there's a countdown, and the person's supposed to slap you right across the face, and you're ready for it. Then they didn't. Then when you're like, "Are you gonna?" Then right then they just fucking hammered you. You'd be taken off guard.
So like Barney and How I Met Your Mother.
Yes, just like that. But like that's the thing is when you take somebody who's watched all these, and I'm not going to count those people that go into these that are trying to be the tough guy, because you can see it on that horror group. There's people that are like, ugh, I've seen everything and nothing scared me ever in my life. When I was 5, I watched fucking Poltergeist and I laughed the whole time. And there's those people that even if they did get scared,
Or-
they won't admit it, and they're not letting themselves enjoy it.
I see
Or
it both
people that
ends,
are like-
guys and girls.
I watched Serbian film. I don't see what the big deal is. Like, okay, dude, give me a
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you're only hurting yourself because
Yeah,
you're not
like-
letting yourself
Exactly,
get that
you-
experience. Just
yeah.
fucking enjoy it.
Beat off.
They're the people that watch the Fast and the Furious movies and are are like, it was unbelievable. No shit, it was. It's Fast and the Furious. We're watching Expendables. Like, you watch the Expendables not expecting an amazing cinematic movie. You go and watch and going, I grew up watching these guys, and even though they look old and decrepit, I'm gonna fucking enjoy watching them fight other old decrepit dudes. They used
It's
to
not
fight.
that bad.
It is. Oh, did you
Well,
not see when Van Damme took off his glasses?
Are
In
you
the
talking
one?
about an
And it
Expendables
was just
2?
like all fucking wrinkles. And you're like,
I don't know. I
Oh.
thought he was a good bad guy.
he was a good bad guy. I'm just saying. Anybody
not
that
like
kicked Van Damme's ass, it was Father Time.
Expendables 3 is beyond the pale, though. That one is bad.
Like, and I'll keep watching them. I don't care. I'll watch every single one of them because.
Expendables or whatever.
Oh, no, that one. I mean, whatever. I like
The girl
watching
Expendables.
the action stars that I grew up watching. That even then, those movies were dumb. But you go in and you go, I'm going to experience this, and it's going to be stupid action. And Van Damme's going to hide behind a flammable barrel when people are shooting at him, and he's going to at some time knee somebody in the face, and they're going to show
He's
it 3
gonna
times
do-
in a row.
He's gonna
You-
do some karate
If you
kicks.
just go in there and try to fucking
Some
enjoy it, it's the
splits.
same thing with horror. If you go in going, nothing scares me, you're not going to enjoy
Yeah,
the fucking
exactly.
movie. Go in, go.
And that was my whole point.
God, I hope this scares the shit.
Yeah,
out of
like
me."
not everything necessarily has to scare you.
I want to shit my pants.
like
Literally shit my pants in a movie. Just- I hope
as
it's
long
at a
as I'm
theater.
like
You
entertained.
probably do that
when
quite
I'm
a bit,
watching
don't you?
it.
I mean, I get close sometimes.
Yeah, you got your.
I'm old now and I have certain
Depends
medicines
on
that
ya.
are very much.
I
I'm
mean,
like, whoop, and I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't a fart.
Or depends. I mean,
as long as when I'm watching something, I'm entertained by what I'm watching, and I'm not like feeling like mad that I'm being subjected to it or I'm bored or like feel like it's stupid or whatever. I count that as like, oh, that was a good movie. Like I don't necessarily like I will like caveat like if it's a horror movie, I'm like, look, it's not gonna be scary. Like Totally Killer isn't scary, but it's a fun, good movie.
It's just sounding that it's almost time. That's all. I like to me, my only thing that'll be my biggest complaint of any horror movie or anything like that is if you want to show me the most grotesque, the scariest, all this stuff, you have to earn it. You have
Right.
to bring me to that place.
Sure, sure.
The only horror movies that I absolutely cannot stand because to me they just don't do it right are the ones that are like, here's gore for gore's sake, here's shock for shock's sake. Give me a reason to
Right.
be there. Don't just go, oh my god, look at this guy, he's eating poop. It's like, okay, good for him. That's fucking weird, but I'm not gonna enjoy a whole movie about a guy that eats poop just to eat poop. However, I did enjoy the movie called Monster, even though that was horrible. But that's because I love bad movies, and Monster is 100% a bad movie.
I like how you're like, you need to earn my respect.
But they
And you know what
did earn
movie
it.
earned my respect? Monster.
It earned it because it said straight out of the gate, this is a movie about a guy coming back as a shit monster. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Do you know how they defeated him? Flies.
seen it.
But the best part about the flies was they brought him in a pet carrier, like the opening grate that any fly could have gotten out of. And then they just go, woo, and they open it and there's like, this horde of flies. And to me, that was
Stupid.
hilarious. But yeah.
All right. Well, we got to wrap it up. It was great getting back with you guys.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Boys are back in town.
Boys are back in town.
Like what every podcast plays when they've been off on
should
hiatus. for a
change
little
it.
bit.
Boys are
We
back
should-
in
we should change it to
town.
my boyfriend's back then. My boyfriend's back and you're gonna be in trouble.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our talk on a bunch of different stuff. We got some recommendations in there. We got some horror talk, some of our dumb opinions.
Dumb
So
opinions, he means me.
follow us on Facebook, Horror Dork, on I think that's all the social media. Our Instagram at Horror Dork as well.
Yeah, we
so-
got like TikTok and YouTube and stuff.
MySpace.
okay, yeah,
it
YouTube
don't-
Horror Dork.
Yeah, but there's links
All
to
that good
everything you
stuff.
can find.
All
If not,
right.
just message us.
I'm Mr. Sir.
No, I'm Mr. Sir. We go through this every week.
All right.
I'm Anthony.
I'm golden.
All right, and this has been Horror Dork.
Heidi ho. By the way, this was filled with apple cider. My apple cider and coffee.